What's up, guys? UFC Noche just ended last night, and I am here to bring you every single fight that we should be making after UFC Noche, Silva versus Lopes. Around the screen, you'll see that I have a lot of the either notable winners or losers of the fights that you saw this weekend, and on the opposite side, you will see two fighters that I have them matched up against. The first one, the one closest to the verses, is going to be the one who I have as my personal pick as the fight, and if we can't make that happen, the other fighter is who I would like in exchange. It seems like the UFC's been watching my videos lately, at least with these in the sense, because legitimately they have made a ton of the fights that I have set up on these cards. What I try to do is put people that had fought close to each other or who have had long gaps and also, short notice. Like, I try to put together fights that make sense, at least close to the rankings, and have fought within a reasonable amount of time of each other. So what we're going to do is start off with the main event, and then we're going to move just throughout the card, and then we'll get to the losers at the very end, who I have kind of blocked off, and you can't really see them right now. Anyways, we'll be starting with Diego Lopes. Incredible performance from Diego Lopes. Knocks out Gene Silva in the second round via a spinning elbow into some ground and pound. Ends up finishing him. Good stoppage. I saw a lot of people saying that was an early stoppage, and it wasn't. Like, yeah, it could have gone on a little longer, but there wasn't really surviving that for Jean Silva. Anyways, I think that the next very logical move to do is the rematch between him and Movsar Evloev. I think this is a fight that has been coming for a long time. If you're one of these people who think Movsar deserves a title shot, you're right, but you're wrong if you also believe that Arman Tsarukyan does not deserve a title shot. I personally don't like rewarding inactivity. I'm a guy who, if you're active, you're getting rewarded in my system. So Movsar Evloev is not getting a title shot for me. To me, Diego Lopes deserves a title shot more than Movsar Evloev, and that's just facts because Movsar's fought like 2 times since Diego fought him. Diego has fought 7+ times since he fought Movsar Evloev, winning all but 2 of them, being one of them a championship, or winning all of them, except for the championship opportunity. He won every single fight. Yeah. If we don't give him Movsar Evloev, I have him getting a title shot next because really there's no one else you can really pump up as should get a title shot. I'm sorry, Lerone Murphy beat a Bellator bum who has never done anything positive hardly even in Bellator outside of knockout literal scrubs. It is what it is. I think he personally deserves a title shot if he does not get the Movsar Evloev rematch, which I think he will actually do really good in yet again because the first match was very close and it was on short notice for both guys, although more short notice for Diego Lopes, if I'm not mistaken. Moving on to the bantamweight division, the winner of the co-main event of the evening, we had David Martinez fighting Rob Font, just kind of really angrily slamming aggressive kicks and punches at range. Like, it was a good performance from him, but it also showed that the bantamweight division's definitely starting to lack now, and it's not quite as powerful and like strong as it was in the past. Right now, I'm thinking the next logical matchup for David Martinez, since we're getting close to the rankings, especially after beating Rob Font, Vinicius Oliveira. This is a matchup between 2 dudes who just fight angrily, and I'm all here for that. And we'll see if Vinicius Oliveira can get past some of the footwork issues that he had against Kyler Phillips. But, I mean, he wasn't having that much issue. He ended up beating him pretty easily, in my opinion, after the first round. If we can't get together the fight between David Martinez and Vinicius Oliveira, which I do think would be an absolute banger, I'd like to see him fight Peyton Talbot. I think that's a good little matchup. Peyton Talbot coming off of a win recently over Felipe Lima and looked very good in doing so. Looked like he had actually really improved his game. And, these are the fights I'm here for. I love making these matchups, and these are good fights in my opinion. Moving to the buffet division, you've got Kelvin Gastelum. he should be taking on, Daniel Cormier in an eating competition. Brian Battle and the fattest man to get cut from the UFC competition. I really don't know. No, honestly, if he is going to stay in the UFC, if we're not going to cut him from the promotion for missing weight like we did Brian Battle, give him Mikhail Olisejczuk. Punish him for missing weight. And if we can't get that fight going, because I think Mikhail Olisejczuk would beat the brakes off of Kelvin Gastelum right now. His little 1-2 from southpaw is just nasty. But maybe Kelvin solves that pretty easily. I mean, we have seen the Fighting Nerds' downfall has been pretty rapid as of lately. But yeah, if we can't get the Mikhail Olisejczuk fight with Kelvin Gastelum, I think that moving to Kyle Dawkins, the Darce Knight, we can have him return yet again. I think that would be a good fight. He's just coming off of a knockout victory over Michel Pereira, being a great victory after just coming back into the UFC on like a 4-fight win streak, I think it is. Kyle Dawkins looked really good in that fight, and I was heavily impressed by him. I did not expect the Darce Knight to return in the way that he did, but he sure did. Anyways, let's move to the lightweight division, and the winner of one of our main card fights between Carlos Diego Ferreira and Alexander Hernandez. Alexander Hernandez being the winner by knockout, lands a nasty counter shot as Diego Ferreira's coming in, and ends up dropping him. Referee, who was out walking his dog, I guess, during the fight, stops the fight after Hernandez knocks out Diego Ferreira 3 separate times with ground and pound, which, I'm here for as a fan. I'm all part of CTE society, but, when you're actually looking out for the health and safety of the fighters, then, you want the refs to stop it at the right time. But impressive performance from Hernandez. He was getting caught early. He did look kind of slow early, but he kind of is fidgety sometimes early. His footwork kind of was getting him in trouble some of the times. He was switching stances a lot in range of his opponent, and Diego Ferreira was making him pay for that a lot of the time. Anyways, I think that a good, reasonable step up in competition and a good opponent coming off of a win, because Alexander Hernandez is on a little streak here, and Benoit Saint-Denis just now getting his first win back. I think you reward Hernandez by giving him a nice jump up in competition into the rankings. Carlos Diego Ferreira is a very good fighter who just recently beat Mateus Rebecki a couple years ago by knockout at that. And I think this is an awesome fight to make. Benoit Saint-Denis marauds, pushes the pace, and Alexander Hernandez is just like a little vanilla gorilla just packed into a 155-pound frame. His Palumbo-ism's crazy. Him and Joe Rogan touching guts would probably make a superhuman. Like they probably fuse together like some sort of mech. And if we can't get that fight going between him and Benoit Saint-Denis, who just fraud-checked Mauricio Hufi, speaking of the Fighting Nerds' downfall, we've got the other Kelvin Gastelum right here in Nasrat Haqparast. I mean, these two dudes, just a little tanner and way wider Kelvin Gastelum is. But this Kelvin Gastelum, in shape, 155 pounds, rarely misses weight. Anyways, Nasrat Haqparast, coming off of his fight with Esteban Ribovics, if I'm not mistaken, I think he just pulled off a very close split decision with Ribovics, although you could have given the fight to Ribovics, but I personally thought that Haqparast had won the fight. Very good pressure fighter, tends to throw a good bit, but yeah, I'd like to see these fights, man. Either of these two opponents for Hernandez are a good step up and reasonable competition for him to be stepping into, especially coming off of a win over Carlos Diego Ferreira, who is very, very incredibly hard to beat. Moving on to Santiago Luna versus, who was it? Quang Li. One of the fights that I was extremely nervous about picking because I was picking a non-South Korean Asian man to win a fight, and it turns out to keep holding true as why I avoid picking them. But it is what it is. If they're not South Korean and they're Asian, it's going to be very, very hard and very weird circumstances that I pick them under. But anyways, moving out of that, Santiago Luna looked very shaky early into the fight, was getting clipped up, pieced up bad by Quang Lee, got dropped if I'm not mistaken. Although they didn't even count that on the official stats, which is crazy because he did get dropped if I'm remembering right. And comes back, lands some good strikes back. It's like kind of he got those nerves out of him once he had gotten dropped and got back up, because you did see he was quite a bit more fluid and everything once he got in the hang of things. He looked way better than he did prior to even getting dropped. So lands a big shot on Quang Lee, drops to his back, and then just gets finished from there. So I have Santiago Luna because he was a debuting guy. I kind of wanted to bring some spotlight onto the debuting kids on this card. I give him Surhey City, and I think that that's going to be a good fight because Surhey City is coming up, or like we've got the Canada cards coming up pretty soon. If I'm not mistaken, there is another Canada card coming up pretty soon, and you could get Surhey City and this guy Santiago Luna on there, and it would be pretty reasonable because he did get a first-round finish, although he did get dropped. I'm not too concerned about that. If we can't get that fight going, I would like to book Cameron Simon versus Santiago Luna. Simon coming off of several losses in a row now at this point. I would give him a debuting guy, and if he can't get by that, cut him from the UFC. It is what it is. I like Cameron Simon. I like his fighting style. He's like a tiny Dricus du Plessis with no knockout power, so it just doesn't work as well. Anyways, moving on to the women's strawweight division, we have the Great Khali taking on, Charles Oliveira? Yeah. Tatiana Suarez's jaw. I mean, look at this thing. This is a genuine face of a absolute marauding human being that doesn't choose to maraud. If she fought with the Diego Lopes style, I mean, look at this. She's got a bigger head than Diego. This woman would be a marauder if she chose to be, but she just wants to hold people against the cage and against the ground. Anyways, Tatiana Suarez defeating Charles Oliveira, or Amanda Lemons, whatever you want to call him, by the impressive decision. I really didn't even want to put this on here, but it was kind of hard to fill out the card without it. I'm going to rush through this one. Tatiana Suarez can either take on Yan Xiaonan or Yasmin Lucindo. I could give a shit less about this fight, honestly. It's for you guys. For you guys! I'm doing this for you guys! I put women's fights on here for you! Anyways, moving on to a guy that I would rather watch fight than any women's ranked contenders, at least. Alden Correa. I almost forgot his name. It's kind of crazy, but Alden Correa. His debut was against Alessandro Costa, and he looked incredibly impressive in this performance. He looked the way that a flyweight should fight. He was throwing constant combinations, very much high pressure, even with a bigger frame on his opponent, constantly pressuring him, moving out of range, using footwork, using takedowns, using a well-rounded game, and it was like, holy shit, this guy's trained. And that's crazy that I have to say that, I really appreciate watching fighters that I don't have to be like, oh, wow, this person's never trained in their life. How are they in the UFC? But Alden Correa changes that for me. Impressive flyweight debut. He's a guy to look out for in my current opinion. Maybe his next performance he just does not look anywhere near as good, and I get, I laugh in my face, I guess, about it. But Anyways, I've got Alden Correa taking on the Ultimate Fighter season, whatever we were just on, winner of the flyweight division, Joseph Morales. I think this is a very good fight to immediately start out both of these guys in. Joseph Morales having his second stint in the UFC now at this point. Time is coming. You need to go. And Alden Correa just had an impressive performance against a very solid flyweight, but a flyweight who fights like a heavyweight, in my opinion. But if we can't get that fight going together between Joseph Morales, who just defeated Alibi Idris, versus Alden Correa, then I would like to see a guy who fought on this card that we just watched on UFC Noche fight Alden Correa in Jesus Aguilar or Jesus Aguilar. I think that this would be a solid fight. You've got both guys that could kind of turn around at the same time, fighting on the same card. They both went to decision, They both went to the third round. I think Correa ended up getting a finish, if I'm not mistaken, and Jesus went to decision. But I think that's a good fight. Both guys could probably turn around the same time. They had about the same amount of fight time in the cage. But, yeah, two good fights for a very good debut. I really like this kid. Hopefully he shows me or proves me right. I would be very excited about that. Moving on to the Ultimate Fighter finale winner of the 170-pound weight class, Danil Donchenko defeating Cezinado by TKO. I mean, he just beat the ever-living crap out of him. He walked forward and for not a second took a step back. Cezinado shot a couple takedowns, got nothing from it, really. Donchenko was immediately right back up. He's kind of like the Yuri Prochazka, in my opinion, of this weight class, just attacking at all times with kind of unconventional attacks, but very effective attacks. These unconventional attacks that are very dangerous work, and I really like his style. He reminds me so much of Yuri, and it's so impressive to watch and see a guy who wants violence in a fighting sport. But I have him against another guy who I believed who wants to go pure violence in a fighting sport. And my number one choice would be Andreas Gustafsson to be his second fight in the UFC, or his debut, whatever you want to call it. Andreas Gustafsson just coming off of a big loss to Renat Fakhretdinov, taking a massive step up in competition from Chaos Williams, I think it was, in the fight before that. And lost, so very definitively too. So I would say a massive step down is kind of in order. And let's see if Andreas Gustafsson can take on a guy like Danil Donchenko. And then if we don't get... If Danil does win, you have another awesome marauding prospect on your hands right there. Ultimate Fighter winner, destroys Andreas Gustafsson. Then you're off to the races, in my opinion. If we can't get that to happen, we have a Frenchman who fought last week, Axel Sola. Very unimpressive performance. I don't even remember who it was against. Don't care. He won his fight. Book this fight. If you're going to be French and in the UFC, you're going to have to fight a real fighter. Danil Donchenko versus Axel Sola. Good fight. I would rather it be Andreas Gustafsson, though. Moving on, and I will now move myself out of the picture. We will be over here now. We've got Rob Font, the loser of the co-main event, versus David Martinez originally, and he lost to David Martinez in very impressive fashion, in my opinion, it was impressive from Martinez, but, it could have just been Font being older. Anyways, I'm not going to go over the fight again too much because we already went over it. I have Rob Font taking on Damon Blackshear as my number one choice. Damon Blackshear coming off a recent loss, having fought not too long ago. He's going to want to get back on the horse. He is a grappler. Rob Font kind of struggles a little bit with grapplers. But, Damon Blackshear is a very beatable fighter, in my opinion. And I think this is a winnable fight for Rob Font. And it's also a not massive step down in competition for how he's been looking lately. So I think this is a reasonable fight. And if we can't get that fight together, I've got him against Chihuihuis. I think that Chihuihuis would handle Rob Font, to be honest, at this point. The way he looked in the fight that he looked, I was not too impressed, but maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Rob Font actually would just cold him pretty badly because his striking is really bad on the feet. But just the pressure alone at this point might fuck up Rob Font enough to really break him from his game. Anyways, I've got Chihuihuis or Raul Rosas Jr. and or Damon Blackshear fighting Rob Font as his next fight. Not a massive step down, but certainly nowhere near where he was at this point. And lastly, the loser of the main event, the all bark and no bite. I'm just kidding. Jean Silva. I love Jean Silva's fight style. Incredible fight from him and Diego Lopes. They went to war last night. He went through so much damage and was still trying to do his best to get up, but, it is what it is. Jean Silva losing the fight by TKO in round number 2. We have him matched up, or that was with Diego Lopes. We have him matched up with Josh Emmett. In my opinion, this is a great fight. Josh Emmett's been off for a long time. He typically takes these very long breaks. He's probably still going to keep taking a long break. Jean Silva's comeback fight should be against Josh Emmett, in my opinion, both coming off a big loss, or I can't remember what Josh Emmett's coming off of, a win or a loss. Like, he's so inactive at this point that you don't really want him, in too meaningful of a fight. So I've got him against Jean Silva coming off a loss to Diego Lopes. Diego Lopes having knocked him out. It shows that he can be chinned. So if he's not careful against Emmett and takes clean shots, he could get knocked out by him. I don't really look at that as a massive possibility, but it is certainly there. Anyways, if we cannot get the Josh Emmett fight between Emmett and Jean Silva, I would like to see Jean Silva take on Patricio Pitbull. Pitbull was supposed to fight on a card recently and had to pull out because his opponent did not make weight, and he chose not to fight him. Patricio Pitbull, 38 years old at this point. Jean Silva would be a very fun matchup for him. He likes to it would be the perfect matchup for Jean Silva, in my opinion, because Patricio Pitbull is just kind of one of these guys who faints at range and doesn't do much, and that's kind of the perfect plan for a guy like Jean Silva. Get you to get wrapped up in his emoting and his clip farming and everything, and then KO you. Well, these are my fights for the every fight to make after UFC Noche. If you want me to move out of the way, I will turn off my camera for you here. And these are every single fight that I think we should be making right now. You guys tell me what you think. If y'all think I'm wrong, if y'all think I'm right, feel free. Tell me what you guys think should be fights to make next. And we have a week off for this week of UFC. No UFC this weekend, so enjoy your weekend. Have fun. Try to find something combat sports related to do. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And if you guys want to join my Tapology group at tapology.com/groups/2048 to enter for free into winning $100 every single pay-per-view. If you're the winner of our Pick'ems group, you'll have an opportunity, or you'll be making either $100, or if you tie with other people, the $100 will be split amongst you guys. That's about it. I'll see you guys sometime for the fights. Bye.